You're a cancer survivor, and I want to know, when did you come down with that condition, and when did you eliminate it?
My first cancer experience occurred in 1989. I found a lump in my breast in probably November. It was actually detected at that time. I found it in. I apologize. It was not in November. It was in the springtime of 1989, and I was taking a shower, and I discovered the lump in my right breast, and I said, this is interesting. And I went and felt the left side and said, there's not something corresponding on the left side. So I had not had a base mammogram before my whole life. And so within 2 days, I had not only the mammogram, I had 5 biopsies on one side. Can you imagine how painful that was?
Absolutely.
And then from there. So to make a long story short, that was my first cancer experience, and that changed my life to really drive in the point that life is too short, too precious not to waste it, and do what you want and actuate the dreams. And I had 2 dreams at that time. Well, not only 2, but 2 that were really important. One was to write a book, and one was to own my own business. And I had been in the academia for many years. Then the second time it occurred was 16 years later, and that was in 2004. And at that time, we took care of it again. And the third time was in 2008. So I am a 3-time cancer survivor. And right now, everything is stable. So I've made major lifestyle changes, and every morning I wake up and I thank the Lord.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that He's given me a third chance, and I keep saying to myself, He let me live for a reason, as I have not finished His work, whatever my work is, and that's where I am.
That's beautiful. You've been on a lot of different shows. You've been on Oprah, Regis, CNN, CBS Sunday Morning, Discovery, the Learning Channels, Time Magazine you've been written up in, and Fast Company. And you've been on 400 other internet, broadcast, and print features. What are people looking for when they talk to you? Who do they think they're talking to?
I don't know. I think they think that what I have to say is interesting. I think because I try to be modest about this, I think I was one of the first people in the United States to write about, talk about, and practice Feng Shui, and make it into a business and reach out to people. Most of my clients, way back when there were only about a half a dozen of us in Los Angeles practicing outside of Chinatown, and among those who could speak English and translate it and utilize it for everyone's benefit. I think at that time it was because it was so new. Nobody knew about it. But I was very, very fortunate. I always see the hand of God at work. Was that I caught the attention of the building industry. And so for the last, since 1989, so it's 21 years now, 21 years, my major clientele has been the building industry in the United States, mostly in California, also up and down the West Coast, Oregon, state of Washington, on the East Coast. I was conducting seminars and consultations in Charlotte, North Carolina, in Florida, in Chicago, in Atlanta. People had never heard of this, and it's through the building industry that I was able, my clients invited me to speak and do training and seminars for their sales and marketing. I did sales and marketing, reaching the Asian market. That's the general umbrella, and then Feng Shui is one component of it.
Can you explain to the public your translation of what is Feng Shui and why it's relevant?
Feng Shui, I believe, is the environmental art of placement that aligns one's energies with that of the universe. I believe it is something that is holistic, natural, common sense, and something that connects us with what we call cosmic energy, or what we call qi or hei in Cantonese dialect. It moves within our bodies, and it is the whole basis on which traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, is based. It moves outside our bodies in our environment and surrounds us outside of our bodies, and that practice is Feng Shui. And that's what I love the most about Feng Shui, is the connection of the same concepts that unite the interior of our bodies with the exterior of our bodies. And you can see it now. Western medicine poo-pooed Feng Shui. Chinese, they just discounted Chinese medicine for years and years and years. The Western medical community just poo-pooed it and said, this is, woo-woo and hogwash and whatever. But the Chinese have been practicing this philosophy for thousands of years and meticulously recorded over and over the empirical evidence of these concepts. And the basic concepts are they are very different. I don't say they're better or worse or good or bad. They're just different, and that's why it was so difficult for the Western community in general, by and large, to accept them, because they were so different. They talk about, number one, the flow of energy, the flow of this universal energy. Number two, it talks about yin and yang. Yin is the female, the nurturing, the passive, dark, quiet,
receptive,
accepting, a lot of different things. A whole long list, about 40 different attributes. And yang, active, the male, and the sun as opposed to the moon, and mountains opposed to the water, et cetera, and the balance. And the yin-yang symbol is called the Tai Chi. Tai is the ultimate, Chi is energy. So when you see that, the two teardrops, right, with the dark
right,
teardrop,
and the white,
intertwined. That line, that S line between them, Kim, is not fixed. It's movable. So if you tied one on a Saturday night, after the World Cup, or Sunday night it was, or after the Lakers win, or whatever, the yin part is probably greater. It expands and it contracts, and the yang is not. On the other hand, if you're in good health and you're feeling great and everything's going right with your world, the yang might be a little bit greater. But it's the concept of balance, both within your bodies, everything you see, you eat, you hear, everything, physically, spiritually, mentally, sexually, emotionally, all of those things have to be in balance. The third concept is the concept of the 5 elements. And everything around us, especially the food that we eat, is designated as being yin or yang and one of the 5 elements. And the 5 elements, I won't go into detail, but they work together in 2 ways. One is when they create or support each other, and the other is when they destroy each other. And again, it goes back to balance and how you bring that into your life.
Talk about the 5 elements, though. Say what they are.
5 elements, I will give them to you in the generative cycle. We'll start with wood, and wood creates fire, as we know, right? You throw wood on a campfire, it
right.
causes it to burn brighter and with more strength. Fire creates the earth, so we know that molten lava coming out of the ground at the Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii, right, it's creating what? More earth. Fire creating the earth. The core of the earth is fire and liquid. It comes out, it cools and becomes more, and creates more land. So that's creating earth. Earth creates